Kearney R-1 Board of Education, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Darlene Bailey.
Here.
Brian Hill.
Here.
Dan Holloway.
Here.
John Kerr.
Here.
Reese Whiteser.
Here.
Susan Mormon.
Here.
Mark Kelly.
Here. Quorum being present, entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Dr. White.
Yes, thank you all for being here during this special meeting to look at our return to learn plan. Before we go through some of the specific questions, let me just briefly outline some of the issues relative to your ability in order to establish these rules and regulations. You know, some of that's been in the news and that sort of thing, but I just wanted to speak clearly into it. So specifically, in state statute 171.011, it says the school board of each school district in the state may make all needful rules and regulations for the organization, grading, and government of the school. Additionally, since on the books since 1963, it also says this: it's unlawful for any child to attend any public school in the state while afflicted with a contagious or infectious disease, or while liable, to transmit such a disease after having been exposed to it. Important there is that neither the Attorney General's opinion or the Robinson judgment have affected either of those two statutes. Additionally, state regulations currently still list COVID-19 as a contagious and infectious disease that people are liable to transmit. The reason why that's important is because should there be students or staff members that would be positive, report that to us, we would have the ability to ask them to isolate because they're liable to transmit to other students or staff members. And finally, your board policy EUB says students and employees with a communicable disease that poses a risk of transmission in school or school activities will be managed as required by law. So you effectively have the ability to do the things that I'm asking you to do this evening, and quite honestly, what you've been doing in your return to learn plan. I want to speak a little bit about face masks and quarantines. So August 10th of this year is the first time that you approved this plan. It really hinged on our local health department, Clay County Public Health Commission, requiring mandating quarantines of close contacts. If you'll also remember, DHS, CDC, and the Public Health Commission changed the definition of close contacts. They also provided an exception which said that if everyone was wearing a mask properly, then they would not be considered a close contact. That matched up very well with our goal of making sure that we had students and staff in person every day as much as possible. So therefore, we recommended, we approved that we would mask so that we could make sure we had more students and staff in school. You've seen the graph before. The number right now stands at 1,869 students and staff that have not had to quarantine because they have been masked. So I just want to make sure that you understand that what has changed in this time frame is now the ability of a local public health agency to mandate quarantine. And that was a result of the Robinson decision or the Polk County Court decision by Judge Green, which is to take some level of effect. The reason why I say that is because right before we walked in here, it was announced that Jackson County, Missouri, and St. Louis County have intervened in that court decision. And so my understanding is that may extend some of these timelines that we're talking about. So what you're going to see was written prior to that. You'll also see that I'm recommending that we talk about this at each one of your subsequent board meetings, because we'll have to have the ability to navigate through whatever legally is out there and other things that impinge upon your ability to make sure that kids and staff are safe as we go through it. But you're going to see a date here this evening that references December 23rd. The reason is because that was the 30 days post the Robinson decision, where it would have been fully in effect and past the appellate period. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So really, I'm asking you to approve the revisions, and I can sum up the revisions in one sentence. Is that beginning in December 23rd of 2021, the Kearney School District will recommend indoor masking for all students, staff, and visitors. The reason for that is because there's no longer a mandate for quarantines. If there's no mandate for quarantines, then our ability to keep kids in school by masking is depleted.
We are expecting Clay County to stick with that December 23rd, or
Well,
when are they deciding to say December 23rd?
they have, I talked to Gary Zabrak this afternoon. They have a meeting on Thursday where they will be discussing it as a public health commission. So
Okay,
again, every decision that we have related to COVID seems to have a timestamp on it, or needs to have a timestamp on it, because it continually fluctuates. What I think that we need to do today is, based upon what we know currently, take action on that, and then you'll have the ability to navigate that going forward. And we'll certainly assist you in doing so. The second thing I want you to know that I'm recommending is not only that we, pending your approval of December 23rd, is that at each of our subsequent board meetings, that the return to learn plan would be on your action agenda for approval. Because I believe that there will be necessary changes that will need to be recommended to you as we continue to navigate all of the legal as well as other health related issues that impact it.
school buses will still be better.
Yeah, great point. So transportation is federally required for students to wear face masks. So for example, we have not required masking of students next door since the beginning of school, but should they enter onto a school bus, they must. That's not our rule, it's not your rule, it's not a local rule, it's not even a state rule, it's a federal requirement. Federal requirement trumps anything else. Okay. Brian, if you would just flip up a little bit, run through. Stop right there. So you'll see that we see face masks, as a mitigation strategy, but you'll also see in the classroom environment that now says universal face mask recommended while indoors. There's an asterisk there, and scroll down a little bit. You'll see as of December 23rd. Okay. So keep going, and this is now posted on our assembly and on our website. Is that true? Not yet. Will be as soon as this meeting concludes. Thank you. We'll leave these highlighted changes yellow for a period of time so that patrons, staff members, and others can see the changes that are reflected in there. But you see that the reason why we note the Robinson decision here in our impetus for requiring these changes. Keep going, please. See, as of December 23rd, universal indoor masking is now recommended. Students in grades K through 12 and adults are still required per federal mandate to wear masks while on our school buses. The physical distancing, again, is also a part of the mitigation strategy. We cleaned up some language in there, but not a substantial change. Here's what I wanted to talk through with you. So students and staff who are symptomatic or who have tested positive. Okay? So students and staff showing symptoms associated with COVID-19 or who have tested positive will be excluded from the district premises for work and school and guided to their personal health care physician. Symptoms they must be free of symptoms for 24 hours. We do that with fevers now, influenza and the like, so we're making that change as well. And then the third paragraph there is students and staff who have tested positive can return to work after 10 days since the onset of symptoms, improvement of symptoms, and again, 24 hours without that. There's a little piece in there about student activities that's governed by the Missouri State High School Activities Association. So we've stated their rule and regulation, but also provided Dave's contact information so parents and staff members and students can reach out. Okay. Here is the students and staff that are liable to transmit. You heard me read that earlier in the state statute. So we've aligned ourselves with that language. And essentially what it says here is they will not be be excluded from school if they are without symptoms, if they have been fully vaccinated, or have had COVID within the last 3 months. So let's talk a little bit about the practical application of symptomatic students or staff, but they have not tested positive. Okay. So I talked to Dr. Morrison, Kearney, our district nurse. We're still going to do close contact tracing in district. The reason for that is simply to tell parents that your child has been in contact with somebody else in a classroom or in a setting that has tested positive. We are not excluding them from school at this time. Please watch them for symptoms. If symptoms develop, then we ask them simply to keep them home until the symptoms subside for 24 hours and then go back to school. So we still need to have that level of communication back and forth with mom and dad. The way it has been, we still make that call, but we said you're required based upon the quarantine mandates from the public health commission to stay home. As of December 23rd, that will no longer be the case, or whatever future date, pending the legal action that will occur. I wanted parents to know that we're still going to continue to do contact tracing because we think it's important for people to know that their child has been exposed. I think we do that on more of a nonchalant basis, not that the information is not critical, but if a student, for example, vomits in a classroom, or they have they're showing symptoms of influenza, and it's about this time of year, we're normally making contact with parents and saying, hey, somebody in this class has had it. Please watch your child for symptoms and those sorts of things. So some of this will be consistent with our existing. Students and staff showing symptoms be excluded from work until symptom-free for 24 hours. And again, these are folks that are not positive, but are showing symptoms. The last one there is just about arrival at school. If we have somebody that shows symptoms at school, we'll make sure that we care for them in an isolated area. Okay. And then I think here again, we say December 23rd, universal is recommended. Keep going.
Can I ask about the 23rd a little bit? I mean, that's all based off of the court case, correct? I mean, that's why we're making that decision. Judgment, 30-day stay. There's a lot of misinformation out there in the community. I just want to make sure people understand what we're basing our decision on.
So slightly different than that when you say the judge stated, no, he issued a judgment.
Okay.
Unless appeal or any post-judgment motion, it becomes final on December 23rd. Now, that date will change because there has now been post-judgment motions by Jackson County Health Department and St. Louis County Health Department, which will mean that the judgment is not final. And until he rules on those motions. And then there's another period in which an appeal may be filed. The reason that there was a presumption of December 23rd is that the Missouri Attorney General's office has stated they will not file an appeal. the plaintiff in that case wanted the result, they certainly wouldn't file an appeal. Despite the health department's request that the Attorney General's office file the appeal, they declined. And so at this point, all parties to the case were not going to appeal it, which would allow it to become final. That will change, the date will automatically change. And so now it becomes, what does the county health department do in response to that? Which they could have said, we're not accepting it. That wasn't the direction they were going, but they are here having a hearing on Thursday night to decide what direction they are going to pursue.
So what we're voting on tonight is presuming Clay County Public Health continues with what they're saying they're going to do.
That's
If
correct.
they change on Thursday,
Right, then we have to
we have to
revisit
figure
this,
it out. Okay.
because then you have the quarantining back into effect, which then affects our ability to teach our students.
As I said, it will take a lot of effort to navigate through this. But I do think that your action tonight is appropriate. We don't know what the outcome is going to be from some of these other entities, but we will be able to navigate our way through.
Yeah.
Keep scrolling on down. There's the once a month that you'll revisit it. And I think that concludes the change. So again, that'll be up on our website. We'll leave it yellow highlighted so everybody can see what the changes have been. Let me just reiterate that what I'm asking you to do tonight is to approve these revisions. Essentially, beginning the 23rd of this month, we'll recommend indoor masking for all students and staff, and we will revisit this each month going forward. In order what I do with the updated information.
So with this having such a finite deadline, the 23rd, let's say on the 20th, it gets extended to January 15th or whatever new date. Do we now come back and you provide us with a new set of revisions based around the new target date, or how does that work?
Here's my answer is, if the only thing that changes is the date, I think that we have the ability as the district to update it. If quarantines are then mandated by the local health agency, then we gotta come back.
Starting the 23rd, they continue that.
Well, or whenever.
Well, everybody's out on,
All right, just so I.
17th.
Yeah.
So I-
It's the following day.
you have, but as a practical matter, you're on Christmas break at that point.
No, I know.
They somewhat coincide fortuitously. The other is, again, it's based on what the county is doing and what the county has told us they are doing. And if the county changes that, then it's a matter of revisiting it because of the necessities that go along.
And it would be likely that that could be not a month, that could be another special meeting. So it's not saying that we will only visit it once a month, but we very well likely would have to visit it, yeah. Okay.
Earlier or later.
Anybody else have any questions, consideration? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve revised return to learn plan as presented.
So
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Appreciate everybody willing to come out for an extra meeting. I know we've had a lot of meetings lately. Appreciate everybody else coming here to listen to us and hear what we have to say, as always. Even on a short meeting like tonight, so it took a little more than 6 minutes. We're
Not
here.
too much, pretty close.
Thanks.
But entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn.
We got things to adjourn.
Second.
second.
Instead of adjourn, it's a second.
A special session. With the closing.
Let's do it this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, move close.
Did we have a second? We had a
I
motion.
said-
Motion second.
Second.
All those in favor? I guess technically.
No, you get a roll call out.
Roll call on that.
Darlene Bailey.
Yes.
Brian Ham.
Yes.
Dan Holloway.
Yes.
John Aaron.
Yes.
Bruce Weiser.
Yes.
Susan Moore. Yes.
Yes. Thank you all.